Hey, welcome back, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of BCS Community Connections. And today on the podcast, I have Mr. Jimmy McCue. Mr. McCue is coach and owner out at Balanced Body Works off of Highway 30 in Bryan, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So we had you in on the show, wanted to give everybody an opportunity to kind of hear about your business. Usually kind of the way I like to start, I like to kind of talk to people who sit down with us and give them an opportunity kind of talk about your background a little bit, where you're from, what brought you here to Bryan College Station, and then we'll kind of get into your business and kind of how that all started for you as well too. So if you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Jimmy McCue, obviously. Husband and father as well, and we own Balanced Body Works. I came to College Station obviously for Texas A&M a long time ago, back in '96, and grew up outside of town of Houston, a little town called Brookshire.
I'm familiar with where that's at.
I actually went to private school, though. My parents sent me, for high school, I went to straight Jesuit in Houston, so a long time ago. And been up here since '96, and beautiful wife, two boys, both teenagers. Forgot about that. They're 14 and 15, 8th grader and a 9th grader. So they've had some exciting first years with everything that's going on.
Sure.
We started Balanced Body Works. It'll be the fourth year will start in January 29th. So in the grand scheme of fitness stuff, we actually started late in the, you know what I'm saying? When we first opened, that is. Because we had some people coming in already, but I mean, it was.
You guys opened up. Now, your wife is Beverly. She's she's owner / coach as well too.
Yes.
We'll give her. Let's don't take her off the board here for credit for.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're like me, I say the better 2/3 usually when I refer to my wife. But so she also coaches out there with you as well too. So a little bit about the business as far as kind of give me a little bit of the structure. I had an opportunity before I sat down with you to. Of course, we had a good conversation before we sat down and talked about your business a little bit, but you guys are set up kind of under an umbrella with multiple formats. Y'all do different things underneath that business. So what are some of the services and things that you guys do?
It's mainly small group classes, a max of 10 people. That we've been like that since the beginning. I didn't really talk with you about that, but it's one of those things that we offer, functional fitness classes, fun fit classes. I'm a CrossFit coach, so I believe in that methodology, but I believe in a more balanced approach, and that's kind of why we have the name Balanced Body Works. That's why we also offer yoga, mobility, private, training, one-on-one, massage. We encourage our members to see physical therapists when needed.
Sure.
But I'd like to not have them have to go that far if that ends up happening. But if necessary, we have a gentleman that we recommend, Gary Johnson, great guy. But then chiropractic work, all the above. And we've talked about this earlier, but the nutrition side of it is very, very important.
Oh, yeah.
But it is called the FDA for a reason, because only food and drugs, manipulate hormones. And so food is a drug, and it can be very tough to work with.
Yeah. And so, you'll always hear, most coaches will tell you, you can't outwork a bad diet, right?
No, I agree with that.
And so you guys are set up and kind of set your business up under the structure where it's kind of an all-in-one service that y'all offer up. So from bringing people in for personal classes where they can join people who have similar fitness goals, but I'm also sure y'all probably kind of structure that down. I know when I had an opportunity, we talked to Terrence a little bit with CrossFit. It's, people who hear the word sometimes CrossFit get right out of the gate like, this is not what this is about.
Yes.
This is not what I'm in for. And so the idea for you guys is to kind of structure those workouts to be able to work to each individual's capacities, right?
Yeah.
So learning what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then what you can build on. So I'm assuming that all kind of funnels in under the umbrella of getting them in there to get them accustomed to working in a group session, especially if they've never done it before.
Yes. And in all honesty, a majority of our members are people that have never stepped foot in a weight room before us,
right.
And early on, I could tell you from working with different style athletes over the years, a basketball player as opposed to, a baseball player, and different imbalances they may have and stuff. And I work with all levels and all ages as well. But we have found that some of the people we work with that have never played a sport in their life or done anything like that are some of the easiest people to train. They're the most coachable because they have no imbalances.
They have no bad influences. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty cool. So I jokingly with my wife sometimes say, as I'm sure you've seen the Bad News Bears, like we've got such an eclectic group at our gym. They're so different, so versed, and I appreciate it. They are the ones we're still here for.
Well, and that's interesting you bring that up to talk about, especially athletes, because athletes come from a sports line. I could take 3 coaches, I can put them all in a room, and I can tell them, okay, then they can be 3. Let's say 3 baseball coaches. They're all going to have 3 different methods, techniques, what they think's important, strength, power, speed, all of those things. But they're all going to have a different way of reaching that goal. I think that's probably a lot to be said in the same vein of coaches for gyms. They all have different ways. Their goal is to accomplish something for their clients that their clients are searching for, right? Whether that's getting stronger, better fitness, cardio, whatever that looks like in that person's wheel well when they show up at your front door to try your class. But I never thought of it from the standpoint of people showing up and they go, I know how to do this, and I used to do this before, and then you're trying to break habits in a lot of cases, whereas somebody who's never done it, like, let me show you how we're going to do this exercise. Yeah. And quite honestly, they're probably a lot more attentive because they've never done it. Whereas the athlete or somebody who's come from another gym somewhere, I know how to do that.
Squat, I got that.
Yeah, we've done 1,000 of those. Yeah. So, but I think that's important also because one of the things about that type of workout, and one of the things that people are fearful of is there's this idea that I may hurt myself doing this type of workout. People hear CrossFit and the first thing, I know somebody who's done this to their shoulder or this to their back or this to their knee. And then the reality of that is the sport itself, the workout itself is really safe when done correctly.
Oh yeah. There's a reason why people can do it their whole life and never have those injuries.
Yeah, and I mean also you have a level of camaraderie that gets developed in those classes. You get people who are accustomed to working out with the same folks on and on. So that community that gets built in there, along with you then building in the knowledge to them of, hey, here's the safe ways to be able to work out. Here's the safe ways to be able to do these particular exercises. And then you're there. So you said your class is 10 people. So, I mean, you got obviously a lot of personal kind of one-on-one ownership there with those folks when there's 10 that you can keep track of, as opposed to a class of, we were talking before 50, we got on here, 30, 40, 50 people, and it's hard to see what everybody's doing under one exercise program.
I believe in the smaller setting. I want it to be that community feel, but the smaller setting also allows for us to, to give that one-on-one that we need here and there. But I like it when everybody's, understanding what we're trying to do and all on the same page. Even though they're all from all different backgrounds and stuff like that, it's beautiful to see everybody working out together. And one of the things that I tell everybody is the greatest compliment you can give me is show me a video of you doing burpees on your vacation. Okay? And you laugh at it, right? And as people get to know me, they get the point in it. And what I consider a burpee, you got to understand but if you're willing to, if a big thing for us is fitness, education, and recovery, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about, and that's like our logo sign has those 3 words, and that's, I want them to feel educated enough to walk into any gym they can and get a workout in. If you're on vacation, doesn't mean you don't need to work out, right? Our body needs 7 days of work or recovery, and and knowing what a workout is important. So we're really trying to educate people on that side of it.
You know, somewhere my wife is going to listen to this and hear you talk about burpees, because if there's one exercise that is the exercise, the bane of my existence when it comes to working out, it's burpees. I know who created it. I know the whole backstory behind it, but that dude was.
It is so good for us.
Oh, gosh.
We should have talked about this beforehand.
I know, man. I know. I didn't know we'd go sideways here on burpees. So I totally was sitting there going, yeah, okay.
You're like, I thought this guy was a good guy.
But listen, you're right. I mean, if you want to talk now, while I hate it simply for the standpoint that, in the moment, it's not a fun exercise to do, but it's a total body exercise. I mean, so it's, there's probably not another exercise you're going to do that's going to be total body fitness in one exercise. But so these, I'll speak, I guess, a little bit to my experience in working with a group class, which is you get in there, there's the camaraderie, there's the ownership of working alongside of these people. People hold each other accountable as well, too, because, when you work out with people long enough to know, they know when you're kind of just, phoning it in that day, and then they know when you're really kind of tearing it out and putting it on, right? So, but then there's also those individuals, I might happen to be one of these, that, I find somebody who's near my fitness level, and then I go, okay, I'm not going to let that guy beat me today.
That's your carrot, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're going to chase.
Yeah, man, and so, but those people make me better. I mean, those people are the ones that make me, they make me work harder and fight harder in that battle of getting through the class,
We
right?
firmly believe in the buddy system.
Oh, yeah. And so, and then the coach's ability to be able to come in, be able to oversee, making sure that people are doing things correctly so they don't hurt themselves. And then also be there to be the extra push, right? Like, just like I said, like people that you're working alongside of kind of know sometimes when you're just, you're not giving that effort. Your coach probably knows it better than anybody else. But the coach also has to have the ability to know who's in front of them, it may be that one guy that they're removed from the military, and so the only thing they know is a good old fashioned ass chewing to get it moving. And then, you got, a little grandma over here who's getting in for the first time, just, trying to get a little fit. And the last thing she wants to do is have somebody 20 years or junior yelling at her or something, so.
Conversation is very important, that's for sure.
So
who you're talking to.
Yeah. And communication in that moment, and then being able to, you're building a trust with your clients as well, too, to know that you're there to push them so that they can get the results that they signed up for. I mean, we talked about, before we came on air here, we talked about the idea that people go to a gym. Some people go to a gym. I shouldn't say people in general. Some people go to a gym with a goal. There's a purpose. There's something that they want to see. There's something that's driving them to be there. Some folks are just there because it's the New Year's resolution and they're going to drop off the radar in 2 months, and we see those guys come and go at a lot of gyms. But the ones that stick it out, the ones that are there, the long-term individuals, they're the folks that you really you invest yourself in, because they're a walking billboard for what it is that you do with them in that gym. Yeah. When they can sit there and, how many people have you met in your life pull their phone out and sit there and go, this is what I used to look like. And then now this is what I look, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? And so again, it's better than any business card or calling card that you can have out there, is to have somebody walking around as a true result of your program being implemented in their life, and then showing that result. And then they're out there telling their friends and family. And that word of mouth then gets people going, hey, I know so-and-so who's been working out with you for 2 years, and can't believe their transformation, and I really want to do that.
I know you're saying transformation, and that a big thing for us at our gym. You'll hear me say it often, is weight loss is done in the kitchen, not in the weight room. Yeah. Right. And that, like you alluded to earlier about
I saw that on something you posted, which I thought, and it was just like a little. I think it was just like a little.
Credit Beverly for that. Yeah.
Okay, Beverly, we saw something that you posted. No, you're right. And again, you can't outwork a bad diet, and I've seen people who, I mean, they're an animal in the gym with me, but their body doesn't change. And so I'm sitting there going, well, I know what I'm putting in, and I know what this person's putting in next to me because I'm watching them and they're sweating off a half a gallon of sweat over here, but nothing changes. And so, I mean,
I guess what I was getting at, you said like people pull out that picture, and they so much of our line of work in fitness, I think it's fitness and nutrition, right? I believe they're
hand in hand.
Yeah. And a big thing is, I would almost rather see somebody show me a picture. This is what my squat used to look like. Look what I can do now. You know what I'm saying? Now, when I see that kind of change, that to me makes it
mobility range, all those kind of things.
And like that, you don't have to add any weight or lose any weight for that to change.
Right.
Okay. And
well, a burpee is a good example of that.
Can you get to the ground and get back up?
Right? Exactly. Now I can do 3 of them. I mean, you're right. That's a good avenue for testing. Just where I was to where I am kind of deal.
Yes.
Not just with fitness purposes, but that. Let me ask you, and I know Beverly's not here to kind of give her side on this, but what got you into this industry? Why was this the important driving factor for you?
Honestly, I was a swimmer, water polo player at Strake many years ago. I played on the A&M club team, although we did more drinking, I think, than we did playing polo. But anyways, no, probably shouldn't have put that on the podcast. But
this was before he was really committed to doing what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that. No, we do believe in realistic nutrition.
That's
so
right.
Clear.
Balanced.
Yeah, it's a balanced approach. Exactly. No, but I had an excellent swimming water polo coach. He was just an excellent man, husband, father, and stuff like that. And I, like my dad and him, actually still keep in touch. I don't know. I never thought about it actually when I was in college. When I came to A&M, I started out in general studies and then went like the business route. And eventually, there's a gentleman I spoke with, and he just did one-on-one training out at the Fitness Dome and said, hey, you're always in shape. And because I'd always worked out at my house, I grew up with a pull-up bar in my doorway for swimmer, and there still is one. There's one in both of my kids' doors and our personal door, and I just kind of always stayed in shape. And then he told me, he's like, hey, what have you ever thought about training? I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I get to train, young hot cheerleaders all day long. I was like, yeah, and that's not what I got. And so
that's not how it works,
right? And so I ended up getting a lot of the people that he didn't want to train, and it teaches you very early on. I mean, personalities are very important, and that's one of the things we always do when we first meet with somebody is just see if our personalities even if they clash, then you're going to hate it here. So
right.
And that's why we always encourage people to come out, and if they want to meet one-on-one once or twice, we can, but just to kind of get that feeling, if we're going to even get along.
That's interesting you bring that up. I don't know that I've ever talked to a coach. I know it exists, and I know that, but I don't know that I've publicly heard a coach say, hey, listen, there's just sometimes that, our personalities just are not going to go well with each other. And that can be referenced, I'm sure, in multiple ways, not just your outlook on things, but your style of teaching, how it's going to be coming across, what you're going to expect from them, because
and what their goals are.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. We live in a world where people want things catered to them, so it's like, you hurt my feelings, so I feel bad because you hurt my feelings and you should apologize for that kind of deal. I mean, so our soft little environment that we got with our safe spaces and everything we've created in a gym doesn't work real well, especially when that coach has a method and a way that they've gotten these results. But that's a valuable point to bring up, to say that it's important that your personalities mesh with each other. And to that point as well, too, you may have multiple coaches. Yes, so it may not necessarily just be the idea that it's just, do you and I click real well, but it may also be, hey, listen, man, I'm probably not the trainer for you, but this one probably is.
Exactly.
And so I think that's a great observation that you brought up there about, making sure that people can analyze that, not just from the coach's perspective or from you as a business owner, gym owner, but also from that person who's looking for the right gym.
Yeah. I mean, I would encourage anybody that's listening to, if you're going and looking at a gym or a massage therapist or a hair salon, or something, you should try out. If you're not happy with it, try other places. Sure. You'd be surprised who you'd meet. We encourage our own members to do that every now and then. You just, I'm really tired of you. Please just, no, I'm just joking. That
well,
sounds bad.
listen, we go someplace or whatever, we may hit a gym somewhere when we travel somewhere, and even though it may be under the same umbrella of a Gold's or an Orange Theory or whatever, still going in there, you're just like, wow, that was a lot different than where I was. It makes you have a better appreciation for where you're at and who it is that's spending that time with you in that gym getting the work done.
Yeah.
And we tend to sometimes have the idea in our head that, oh, this is going to be the same no matter where I go, or especially in the franchise model. When you're in there and you're getting around and you know that you need to hit the gym, like you said, hey, I'm on vacation. I'm not on vacation. I'm going to get 2 workouts in or 3 workouts in while I'm on this vacation. It's that same process. You go in there and the first thing you start doing is you start kind of breaking down, well, this guy doesn't do it like my coach does, or, they don't do it quite this way. So it is that same deal when you're hopping, though, even from gym to gym, to try and decide what's the best fit, what's the best gym for me. Like, not just that personality, but hey, this is how we run our gym. This is what we believe works best for people. And again, you're not here to change, what your business model is or what your thought process is within that business model. It's that, these are the results that I get with people who commit to what it is that we do.
Yep.
And then the personalities and everything else, that all meshes great. We're going to get along well. You're going to have great results. I'm going to be your coach, not just to come in here and just, hey, let's get this 1 hour out of the way. I'm going to also be going, hey, I'll see those physical changes in you like we've been doing. How's your kitchen work doing these days?
Oh yeah. And you'll actually, like you mentioned Beverly earlier, I mean, she's a coach as well. And that's one of those things that you can ask every member and they would agree, and they'll tell you, both of us coach a little differently. The way we coach things is completely different almost. And I think that's a very good thing. And I think that combination really helps us, because there's many times, I'm nervous saying this, but like, when I've worked with some older women, I've heard this, well, you don't understand. I'm like, you're right, sweetheart. And then they start talking, and I'm not calling my wife older, just so we're clear.
Oh, that's right.
Dang it, almost.
Yeah, Beverly, we're not saying you communicate well with older women because you're older. We're saying you are more experienced.
Yes,
in that line.
I was just saying that she's a woman, and this is another woman.
So, but that's a good point as well too. Is the two of you probably more complement each other, being different in the way that y'all coach, yes, as opposed to being the same type of coach. And then there's no flexibility for the people who maybe don't fit in the vein for, they're sitting there going, okay, well, Jimmy's okay, but I really like Beverly. Well, great. Beverly is available as well too, and so maybe the idea that, if she's doing these things over here and connecting with folks, that's great for you either way. It's a win-win situation. And the two of y'all complementing each other by being maybe opposite in certain categories or in certain things helps with that opportunity as well too. And if they get an opportunity that they come in and sit down with both of you and talk to you one-on-one, or be able to work out in a class with the both of you just to see how y'all interact, gives everybody kind of this, it's like buying a car, man. Come test drive it before you make a decision. We'll give you a class to let you come try it out and see what you think. And then after it's all said and done, let's sit down and talk about it, because that makes you a better gym owner when you're able to hear people who go, yeah, no, maybe this just isn't for me. Okay, well, can you elaborate on that and tell me why, so that I kind of know,
feedback
what it is.
Always helpful.
Yeah, good, bad, and ugly, right? I mean, you need to know all of it. But the goal for you, though, in the long run is that you're building clientele within your business who value what it is that you bring to the table with your gym, and that they understand that what they're putting in has to coincide with, the expectation from what they want to see and what you want to see out of them. Again, you can only help them so far if they bust their butts off in the gym, which you can control and see. But it's what they do in that other 23 hours.
That's the tough part.
Yeah.
For all of us. I mean, I'm just as guilty sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That extra beer sometimes tastes pretty good, especially
it goes down just as good, that's for sure.
So let's talk about, we talked about the services that you guys offer. I want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit. So kind of a CrossFit style group fitness class is kind of it's what your main core is. Yoga is another one.
Yes.
Nutrition, being able to sit down and talk to people about nutrition, helping them with kind of their nutritional facts of what it is. Now granted, man, I mean, the first time when you sit down and you talk to somebody, if I go into a gym and I'm going, man, I want to be shredded. I want to have a 6-pack abs. I want to do all these other things. I mean, let's be honest, man. In order to accomplish those things, and it's going to start in the kitchen, there is not going to be a menu in that kitchen you're probably going to like.
I'll be honest with you. There's been times over the years that, and I'll say this to people, I believe I could walk up to somebody and somebody would say, I want 6-pack abs. And let me hit you with this 2x4 as hard as I can, and it'll start working. And they'd be like, swing away.
That's
what
right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, but if I say, hey, let's talk about that like glass of wine at night or those Oreo cookies or something, people are like, let's not get crazy, man. Let's just work out or something like that.
Listen, man, for 20 years, that 9 p.m. Oreo cookie and milk always works for me.
Right. Puts me right to bed, right?
Yeah, it's the commitment, right? I mean, and people say they want to do it, and then you get off into it. Because I've watched some people. I've had people work for me. I've been around folks that they start out committed. I've got my chicken and rice, and I've boiled my chicken, and I've got 6 days worth of meal prep ready to go, and I've measured everything out, and it's go, and then, oh my gosh, man, like, is it chicken and rice again that I got to go with here? Like, come on, I mean.
I'm one of those weirdos that doesn't mind eating the same thing every day. I'm not a chicken and rice person. I'm not a rice. I love chicken, but I'm a scrambled. I actually believe we coach also on the intermittent fasting. I'm a firm believer in that. If you're no longer growing, like as a child, adolescent, whatever, then you probably should be intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
But on top of that, you can't intermittent fast and then just eat Twinkies in the time that you know what I'm saying? Just so we're clear.
Listen, man,
I saw the wheels working.
You told me that these 8 hours I could eat stuff like what I want to eat right here.
But don't get me wrong, in the intermittent fasting, it does allow me. Actually, yesterday, we had a little Christmas party this past Sunday, a little get together. It wasn't a party, as like we would like to with our background of bartending. We really would have liked to tie one on, but that didn't happen. And I had a couple extra beers in the fridge, and so I didn't have any extra carbs, and so I had my eggs, and I was drinking a beer, and one of the neighbors was like, is that a beer you're drinking? And I was like, actually, yeah, it's a carbohydrate. Just deal with it.
Let me show you my macros over here. Show you how this is going. So, I think it's important to understand that, and this is what I battle with. I'm 48. The battle for me is, I think as I get older, I try to get a little bit wiser. I mean, I have friends who do diets, right? Like, oh, we drink these shakes and we eat these meal plans and we take this pill and all this other stuff. And the thing that I'm starting to learn at 48 is I've got to settle in with something that's going to work, right?
Yeah, find that par.
Yeah, I mean, am I going to drink shakes for the next 30 years? That's probably not going to happen. Am I going to be able to find these pills again in another 20 years? And I'm going to commit to taking these for 20 years. That's probably not going to happen. But you made a comment where you're talking about intermittent fasting. Is that something I can do? I can do it any time, any place, no matter where I'm at, vacation, not vacation, whatever. I started doing that, and it's not for everybody. There are some people who, think that they can't do it, that just don't want to commit to it. And then there are some people who, physically probably have some things that they'd probably need to talk to their doctor about before they get in on a program like that. But I started doing the 16-8, right?
Yeah, same.
And I love the 16-8, and I love the fact that I can move that window as I need to. As long as I'm running 16-8 somewhere, hey, tomorrow night I know I've got friends that are coming over at 6 p.m. Well, my window is until, 7. But maybe that next day I'm going to move it so that I've got a little bit, another hour or two on the backside so that I can still have fun with those friends and not be over here just blowing it out of the water going, yeah, my intermittent fasting stopped at 7 and I know it's 10:30, but let's go. Bring me some more stuff.
That's also why we call it realistic nutrition.
Sure.
I don't want you saying no to your kid's birthday cake. It's like, no. I'll scrape the icing off. Who cares? You should be able to eat that piece of cake. You know what I'm saying? once again, like you said, friends over, I'm not going to be like, guys, I can't have another drink past 10 o'clock. No. Sorry. Sorry.
Let's cut this off right here. It's the last one.
I'm going to have a good time. And that's the way I think it should be. And food, it used to be this, people would sit around a table and everybody kind of comes but it still was a time of gathering. And that's, I think we've gotten to the point where fast food is just, it's everywhere. You can get a hold of anything.
Yeah.
You'll hear me reference my dad a lot, and I apologize for that. But he always feels sorry for diabetics. He goes, because like your big, drug addicts, they got to go someplace and, buy something from a dark alley or something like that. You're diabetic.
Yeah.
Can just go to any convenience store, most likely in walking distance nowadays, just about, and just slowly kill themselves. And it's very, very tough.
Yeah. So, it's our culture. It's built. It's built on every corner, almost every.
It's killing us.
Yeah, every city, every town. You can find it, and it's cheap. That's the other part. Cheap, convenient. We live in a society where that makes things work really well in people's lives. The big part of I know one of the things when people talk to coaches is there's sometimes the disconnect. The coach doesn't understand. You don't understand either how busy I am, or you don't understand, what my life looks like. I've got, 5 kids running around at home, and I don't have time to do these things, and I don't have time to exercise, and I don't have time to eat right, so I feed my family and then I pick something up on the way to work or whatever. It's always something, and there can always be a reason for there always being something. And so what's really crazy though is if you ask most people, would they be willing to invest back in their health? If you ask that as a generalized question, and you say, well, would you be willing to invest $3 a day into your health? And they're like, oh yeah, $3 a day to ensure that I live, another 10 years, 20 years, whatever. And, or that I'm not, 55, 60 years old and can't hardly walk around, or, can't stand up out of a chair without losing my breath. Those are the moments where people when they're just talking about it, they can easily make reference to that and say yes quickly, but doing the work, putting it in, $3 a day to get you that membership, that, group class, that whatever you need in order to get in. And then the food part, you're going to do one way or the other. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to make a good decision or a bad decision that day.
That is up to you.
And so, but then they go to these gyms and they see a coach that's in great shape, who's, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what's best for you kind of deal. And the disconnect there that happens sometimes with the client is you don't understand. Like, you don't understand what my plight is over here, or what I'm going through. So I think when coaches, when coaches either come from a background where maybe at one time they weren't healthy and they got healthy, I think that gives them a better line of sight to those folks. But then there are also those people that sometimes they've just got to get over themselves. Their mind is the thing that's kind of
holding them back.
Yeah, you can work them like a dog for an hour, but again, that 23 hours that's left over in that day really becomes about how bad do you really want to do this. And it's tough. It's, I think I would imagine the majority of people who step into a gym aren't 100% committed 100% of the time. They might be 100%.
But when they step out of the gym that day,
yeah,
I've never heard a single one of them be like, "Oh, that wasn't worth it." I'm so disappointed I came today.
Yeah. Hey, if you're like me, I go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, man, and there are mornings that I sit there and I'm like, I could do this at a different time. But then when I'm done, I'm like, you know what? I got the rest of the day to myself.
To do whatever you want.
And
exactly.
It is done and over with. And I feel better about the fact going, hey, listen, man, I'm starting negative, 600, 700 calories today. I've already shot those out the window with this class. So, hey, man, I'm good. Now I just got to be smart the rest of the day to make sure I go, because it's Thanksgiving. I could probably put a few pieces of pie down and kill that 700 calories here in a heartbeat.
Just like that.
Yeah. So for you guys, having that umbrella in your business where you got the group class, you've got yoga, you also have the nutrition side that we talked about, range of motion. So range of motion with what you deal with is really more so kind of, is that teaching folks?
Yes, I believe there's different ways of getting there, but I always want to see everybody be able to work out full range. I start with the squat, no matter who I work with. We all did it as a toddler. I actually have this little thing I call the infant series, and I just start you from. I got a quick question for you. It's something we didn't talk about. Right. What's the first thing in a child's athletic development? I know it probably goes way back. You said she's 10, so it's been a while.
For her, are we saying like crawling and doing those kind of things?
Okay, that's way far advanced.
Yeah.
So think before that.
Keeping your head straight.
Yeah. They pick their head up, right?
Yeah, nice.
And you give them some tummy time, right? So you should be able to lay on the floor and look up at people standing up around you and see everything that's going on.
Yeah.
A child learns how to walk without any instruction.
Yeah.
Okay. You may hold a hand here and there, but lay on the ground and roll around, right?
Yeah.
Once you start to roll over, that's the next step.
Right.
All right. And eventually you get into crawling and pulling up and squatting and stuff like that, and then eventually walking. Many people that we've met and that I've worked with, they already want to sprint. They see all these cool weightlifting things, and but they don't have the strength or range of motion in their shoulders or hips or knees or elbows, and it really stems back to their trunk. Their core is way too weak, and it doesn't support what they're doing. So,
well, and they get in with the mindset of, hey, 10 years ago I used to do this, or when I was in high school I did this, and we're 20 years removed from that.
Expectations will kill you in a heartbeat.
Like I didn't realize how out of shape I actually was. So
that can be tough.
So in the ability of bringing people in and working them up, because that's really kind of essentially what you're talking about here, is working them up into better strength, better conditioning. And you're also in that process, you're developing people's mentalities as well too, that they have confidence in themselves. I know there are a lot of times I looked at stuff, and I'll give you a great example. In one of the classes I used to do, it was wall stand push-ups. And I was like, listen, man, I'm 6'3". The last thing I need to be doing is putting my feet up above my head and be doing any kind of gymnastic stuff. When's the last time you seen a 6'3" gymnast, man? Those guys don't exist.
I was doing handstand walking yesterday in my workout. Actually.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of you guys with your handstands going on, and the first thing is the fear, right? Like I'm going, okay, I can probably kick my feet up on this wall. But man, if my elbows give out here, man, I'm going to break my neck, but it's that build up process. So the first couple times I'm just trying to kick my feet up off the ground. Like if I get at a 45-degree angle, man, we are that much further than we were when I was upright. And then I kind of work into it. Eventually one day I can kick my feet up onto the wall, and I'm going, okay, I'm just going to hold this handstand, because as soon as I break my elbows and try to go to a push-up, I'm probably going to break my neck. That thought process is still there. Work out in class, many more classes, getting stronger, can feel my body getting stronger. And then finally one day I'm like, all right, man, let's give this thing a try. And it's the worst looking wall stand push-up you've probably ever seen. I may have bent my elbows a total of maybe 10 degrees and then pushed back up.
But you didn't break your neck.
But I did not fall and did not break my neck. And again, it's that buildup of confidence to go, okay, the next time around, at least I know I can do this up to this point. So we're going to try maybe 20, 25 degrees the next time. And again, it's better and better and better. And I'm sure that you get, for you personally, being in the business and developing these folks, that's got to be a huge motivating factor for you to be able to see people who walked in, who said, I can't do this. Or how many times you've given somebody an exercise, I just can't do this. And then, a year later, you're sitting there going, remember when you said you couldn't do these things?
We have these conversations daily, it seems like now. So that's exactly right.
Yeah, the benefit of that for you personally, not just of the individual. I know what I felt like when I got the first full one off. But I'm sitting there going, as a coach, if you coach that individual to that, and that coach is everything from I want you to do it correctly. I want you to have the right form so you don't hurt yourself and everything else, to also the guy that's like, no, you're telling yourself you can't do this, but you can. And so they're the constant kind of push forward, motivating, okay, hey man, that you're that much closer than you were yesterday. And then you just build those guys through until they see the result, or they see something that they never thought they were going to be able to achieve.
And I think if you are patient like that and willing to do that kind of work, that's why I think body weight exercises are so important. But they are very, very tough. I mean, any body weight movement's a functional movement,
right?
And what I a lot of times see is like the progress of just being able to squat below parallel for some people. It should be like this huge. That's why I mentioned that earlier. That should be a really big deal for a lot of people. But if you see like 5 pounds go up on a bar, it's a very perfect. It's a number 5. Oh, I went up 5 pounds.
Right.
I'm not measuring the degrees on somebody on the depth that they can make on their squat on a regular basis, or even being able to kick up, like you said, into a handstand, let alone actually do some handstand walking or a handstand push up. That progress is so slow. A lot of times, it becomes overwhelming, especially if you're doing it on your own. And that's why I think in the group setting, many, if you ever heard of a skin the cat?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the rings, right?
Yep.
So, good. That makes this a little bit easier for all the listeners. Hopefully you understand.
YouTube.
Yeah. Right there you go. Yeah. Well, let's talk to kids, right? In gymnastics. Right. I mean, 4, 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds. Okay. Crazy. But, and when you have a group that somebody who's brand new and they haven't seen me put that on the board before, and then they come in and they start to try to skin the cat. Yeah. Everybody else in the class they're getting much further along in their process. Like, we were right there with you at one point. And that really helps, that process, because it can be overwhelming. They'll see coach, because a lot of times I'll do the whole thing, and then I'm like, or we can just do this part. And then somebody else will say, like, look, this is where we were at when we first started.
Yeah, the encouragement of those folks going, hey, man, listen, I know exactly what that feels like because I was there. Listen, I'll give you a better example of that. So in one of the videos that I watched that you post on your Instagram page, there was a girl doing muscle ups. But the muscle up, I think, was down to a box and then jump back up to do the put. And so I'm sitting there, yeah, because you're looking at me like I have no clue what you're talking about. And I'm like, I know I saw this. So a pull-up for me alone is a struggle, right? And probably for most people, to be quite honest with you, just doing a straight pull-up. Then you talk about, again, do a muscle-up over the bar, and then I'm going, in my head, even up to the moment that I, in researching for this podcast and looking at that video on your page, I'm going, I've never seen somebody trained to do it that way, where she literally is coming off the bar, coming back down, tapping on the box, and then kind of pushing herself back up from the box again and going up. The range of motion isn't near what it has to be for a full muscle up, but just to develop the feel of what it is to get up on top of the bar, to do the push, I say muscle up, but
you said it right there, to get on top of the bar,
right?
Or get on top of the rings,
right?
So there's a lot of people that can do pull-ups and dips,
right?
Yep. For days even,
yep.
Right? They can do lots of them. But then it's the transition that is so difficult,
right?
And you're pulling yourself from below to on top, and that has to happen so fast. And teaching that it's a feel. And once again, you get little kids doing it. It's like they were like, oh, this was fun. I'm playing around, as adults that you have fears and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you want to see an excitement on somebody's face watching an adult get their first muscle up over a bar, man, and then it's like, you think they just conquered the world, So, but again, I thought that was valuable in looking at that, because again, it shows the thought process from your training in your gym, that there are other ways to be able to accomplish what we're working towards. And it's going to be slow processes to get there, just like it should be. But the ability to show you part of the feel, part of the range, part of the motion here that you're going to need to master to get to the next part of the motion. And then stage stepping people into that so that there's a result at the end of all of it when we put all of these ranges of motion that we're having you perfect, to get it all put together in one piece. And are you going to be able to do it the first time that we get all these ranges in? No. But we're going to work our way up to it, just like we're working these other pieces up to it as well too. So again, it was one of those things that just kind of stood out to me as super valuable in looking at how, like I said earlier about bringing those 3 coaches into the room, there's going to be 3 different ways of coaching people. And so that to me stood out as something I'd never seen before, with how a coach had trained someone to work towards that goal. And something I never even thought about. Now, I've watched people use the resistance bands on the bars when they're doing pull-ups and things like that, and they put their foot in there for the help to get themselves up to, again, we're trying to get you to do a pull-up so you understand how it feels, how the range goes.
And that's exactly right. A lot of people don't understand that feel part of it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of, as a coach, we need coaching as well, right?
Yep.
And I mean, you can call it continuing education, but we go to things.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of a guy by the name of Carl Paoli, and he wrote this book called Freestyle, and one of the movements is the muscle up, and I just appreciated the way he kind of really broke things down into small parts. It was like I was already doing that before I read this book, but he really just kind of put it all together. And I really like to make the connection with certain movements and how, look, you get better at this, that's going to get you closer to getting this. And once again, that's a carrot, like we've talked about, putting that out in front of somebody. It allows you gives you something to be like, oh, okay, I can do this. And as I get better at this, well, then eventually I can do this. And then now I can do this. And eventually that muscle up comes on, or handstand walking, or pistol, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. So I didn't ask you this before we sat down. So did you and Beverly both transition into kind of the coaching gym world around the same time frame, or was that something that you were in beforehand? And
I was in it beforehand. When I met her, she was managing Margarita Rocks actually at the time, and I was already doing personal training in a sense, and I did personal training for years, and I had a couple classes here and there, but or small group classes that I did, but she got into who were working at the fitness. I was training at the fitness dome, and we started having kids, and we decided, hey, work in the daycare, you can be around the kids, because she was just like, I got to get out of the house. She probably hate me talking about her, but and I was like, okay, well, do that. And she started doing that, and eventually then once they got a little bit older, then she felt comfortable, and she was like, well, I'll teach one of these classes. Wanted to teach some of the classes, and she started getting into the group classes, and then she eventually got into yoga, and I think that was one of the best things. Actually, after she went through the yoga thing, to this day, I still want to do a true yoga certification or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was months long. I don't remember how long. It was hours every weekend. It was like every weekend from maybe it was like 6 months or something like that. Yoga training is extremely in depth.
Yeah.
She would come home just so sore from it every weekend. But I thought that, and that's when she kind of started, I think, develop a little bit more in what she wanted to do. We both do the same things. She grew up playing sports. I did too. So she, did basketball, track, and everything. So it was like I was swimming water polo, obviously, but I think because of the fact that we were all under the same umbrella in a sense, like you mentioned earlier, like it made sense I've always wanted to have a gym, and when she's like, well, I want a massage place, and then it kind of came together, and the yoga actually I think really is more important for most people than most believe or even want to.
Yeah.
I think most Americans think yoga is a bunch of women in Lululemon pants, and
they just sit around and hum and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's no humming in our class, but I always tell people with her yoga, because she came more from like a strength and conditioning style background, as opposed to many yoga instructors I've met are only yoga, and that's all they, and they're like, so now do this, and you're like, man, we did handstand push-ups today, and she's asking me to hold into a down dog position. My shoulders are already smoked. How am I going to do that? And so she understands what we're going through as well, because she does the same workouts, and,
right.
And I think that really helps her yoga, because it balances things out a little bit more.
Well, and she probably knows. I mean, you go through it and you do it. That's great both ways. I mean, even from her side, even from your side. I think if you've gone in and you take a legit yoga class, I think you'll change all of your perceptions about just how hard that is once you go through a class. And you'll find out exactly how much range of motion you don't have that you maybe thought you could. I was like, I see people do that all the time. I can do that, no problem. Yeah, and then you put all that together and realize, oh yeah, I'm not quite as flexible as I thought I was. So when we were sitting down, we were also talking about, with you open the gym and You're going on what's fixing to be your 4th year. So you've come through probably one of the single most challenging years to have a gym. And we were talking about how, you know, there were 2 businesses, 2 industries that were really kind of put in the crosshairs with COVID, when COVID kind of got rolling. And that was the gym owners and bars. Those 2 were kind of the black sheep of the family when it came to businesses and what they viewed as, oh, these are the problem children that are causing the spread. So we're gonna shut these places down, and then this is going to control all this. And so I want you to walk me through and walk the listeners through kind of what COVID looked like for your business, time that you were down, what you saw that y'all had to transition through. You know, we used the word before we came on the show, we used the word pivot as a gym owner. Like, what, you know, I can't just sit here and watch my business just go
Tank.
up and go up and smoke, because nobody cares about the fact of whether I'm open or not, other than my members. And the people who are out there that are controlling the situation really aren't calling me for any kind of input, you know. No. So let's talk me through the listeners here, kind of that process of what that looked like for you guys.
So, you know, luckily Beverly's very good about, she's on social media. She makes me be on it. I'll put it that way. So, and she was very, very good on staying up to date with everything. Right. And that was, very, very helpful. But we've already got, you know, small class sizes. So the shutdown hurt us obviously immediately, but we were able to open back up with, because it's an open air style gym as well. And, luckily with different members that we have, I've got a chemist that works well with us, and she, you know, she deals with a lot of things with much deadlier things, obviously. And she's explained to me, it's a very simple understanding of, it comes down to your viral load versus your immune response, you know, and that's all it is.
Well, on that point, I think it's interesting. The one thing that you do not hear is you don't hear anything about, you should be taking vitamin C, vitamin D, you know, you should be exercising. Yeah, you should be doing all these things for your health to keep good health, right? I mean, you just hear, man, if we close this down, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Jimmy, we're all in this together, and if you'll just close this thing down, then we'll get through this together, right?
Well, I mean, I feel like I need to say this no matter what, but, you know, especially for councilmen and stuff like these people in the city or government in general, you know, I know we saw just like a pass down of, oh yeah, they'll shut this down. Okay, I'm just doing what they, you know.
Right.
On the local basis, I wish we had more people that were small business owners.
Yeah.
That did understand
absolutely.
that impact a little bit more, you know. And I don't mean like you own this small business, but you own, you know, tons of acreage of real estate as well. You know, something like, no, that I'm
like
talking,
your livelihood.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I think there would be a little bit better understanding of how to handle things in that sense, in my opinion. So.
Listen, the one, and I use the phrase in here, and I, you know, part of it I just throw it out there just so it'll annoy my wife, but you know, it annoys me as well too. The phrase of "we're all in this together" is one of those deals that just drives me crazy, because you know, when we talked about this when I was interviewing my partners here at the business, you know, all in this together sounds great. You know, and that makes a great phrase for a shirt. But, you know, those people who are also saying that are the folks that are probably still getting paid from someplace. You know, they're working from home. They have their businesses figured out some way to be able to continue to get them paid. Whereas those guys that it depends on me opening the door in order for somebody to put money in my register that I can continue to operate as a business. That's where the rubber meets the road for a lot of these small business owners. Yes. I mean, it's the idea of, look, we're all in this together. Listen, man, like, you're not going to go homeless. You're not going to go with a debt load over your head because your business is still figuring out a way to operate, or your business is still paying you when you're out and about.
But it was a month or two before all that even. I mean,
right.
I mean, if you've got a young kid, you understand, like, oh, my kid's not going back to school now after spring break.
Right.
Okay, so we immediately we had to change our platform with the way we're coaching. Right now, we're starting to learn how to do Zoom and whatever else it is that we need to do. Lent out as much as we could, equipment wise, to keep people.
We'd never heard of
engaged.
Zoom until this happened,
yeah.
right? I mean, it was Skype, and that was about it. And then all of a sudden, Zoom became everybody's front door monster at their house for everything going on. So, but you guys utilize that to effectively also continue your process of getting your folks workouts and things like that.
We all needed that stress relief, you know. So, and in all honesty, I may complain about learning the Zoom and doing that, but it gave us something to do other than reading through PPP loans again, and stuff like that. So it was one of those things that it really, it was challenging, but it was definitely a nice change of pace, I guess, for a little bit. But with that being said, I'm not like doing any online training like that.
Yeah. Not now, fortunately.
No. Yeah. Fortunately. Yeah.
So what kind of impact do you see on your business?
Be 100% honest, we were very, very lucky in our membership. I've got to definitely thank all of them tremendously. We only lost a few members in the whole deal, and honestly, since the shutdown, I guess it would have been closer to like maybe mid-May. We've picked up more members since then.
Great.
And whereas nothing at the beginning of the year, it seemed like, and then as the year went on, it really started to open back up. I was really surprised. So
yeah, and I mean, so the gyms become a vital part. We talked about essential businesses, right? But somehow gyms didn't get qualified in as an essential business because, again, there was this idea that would be the place where if you were going to catch it, that's where you were going to catch it at. So, but the idea for most gym owners that are out there, they're sitting out there going, listen, man, like this is essential. It's essential for people's mental health. It's essential for people's physical health. It's essential for creating an environment of people here who, care enough about their health to keep themselves healthy, to kind of try and keep COVID at bay for them personally as well too. And the idea that, we're all in it together. I get where that stems from. But the idea also is my services as a gym owner or whatever is still needed to my members. My members aren't sitting out there going, hey, it's COVID, man. Let's put this thing on the rack and we'll pick it back up again in 2021. It's okay. Well, how can I still continue to get the camaraderie? How can I still continue to get the group, learning lessons that is how I work. It's how I work out. It's what I need in my life for the motivation. A lot of coaches, a lot of gyms went to Zoom. They went to virtual in order to be able to try and figure out how they could still continue to teach their members and still, conduct classes and everything else without getting them all together. But now, that we're 8-9 months into this deal at this point. It's hard to believe we can say that.
Right?
We're 8 to 9 months in. I would say we're better educated than we were 8 or 9 months ago. But it still feels like it's still this little verge level. Like at any given point, somebody can go, you know what, man, we just need to shut it back down again because we didn't do it right the first time.
It is a nerve-wracking time right now. And it hasn't, and I think that's what, if anything, that should be more of a reason why we should be working out to try to relieve that stress.
Sure.
But, that's exactly what you talk to anybody right now, anywhere they go, so how did it seem? There's just a tension in the air, and it's just because everything that's going on, and nobody likes being in limbo, right?
Right.
That's why the game itself, right? You spend a little time under the bar, and then you're just dancing, singing around, having a good time, right?
Yeah.
We've been in that limbo for 9 months, like you said. You know, I've joked with other clients, like one-on-ones, like I would so much rather be, because a big part of working with a client one-on-one is just being able to talk with them for about an hour. And that's why I was saying our personality's got to, get along in the first place. Right. Normally, for the last, 15, 16 years of one-on-one training this time of year, most likely talking about A&M football, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it still can be a talking point, but right now it's not like not to take anything away from their season. Oh, sorry, just so we're clear, right?
That's right, man. We're fifth place. Yeah. We're still fifth.
Hey,
maybe fourth.
I think we should be happy with fifth and just win our bowl game and start the next year fresh. And that's my 2 cents.
Listen, I kind of like the input somebody said earlier is we should have skipped the Alabama game. We could have COVIDed Alabama. We COVID some of these losses and we'd be like in second right now or something like that. So.
Oh man, so that's. When you said that it makes me think. I think a lot of things are being chalked up to COVID now too. And that's
it's an easy place to hang a hat for why we don't do something or we don't want to do something. I think it's important if you're out there and you're listening. I think the important part to understand is it's easy to go around town and you may look at some things and go, well, that place looks like they're doing pretty good. I walk into Walmart. Walmart's pretty busy. I go over to HEB and, Mr. Charles up there at Tower Point, man, he's running around a little chicken with his head cut off, stocking the shelves and everything. There's this false sense of security in a lot of folks' mind that, everything's getting back and we're seeing stuff come back. In certain industries and in certain markets, there probably is a rebound that's happening, or there's a slingshot effect the other way where they're seeing the benefit starting to come back to them. But there's still a lot of small businesses, and it seems like almost daily I see some kind of news about a business that is closing it down and shutting it up because we've hung with these restrictions for so long that it's this process of we want to do the right things to keep people safe, right? We want it based on what we know. But the idea is there's no... whether it's a gym owner, whether it's a bar owner or whatever, it's the idea that, these people live in that environment. These people are the ones that see it day in and day out. So who's bringing those guys to the table to talk about what are you guys seeing and what could we do to help you, or what can we do to make your place safe underneath these restrictions and under these requirements, but that we can also help you to be able to keep your business open, to keep people coming to your doorstep, and to be able to help assist you on the backside here as we're working through an unprecedented year of something that nobody's ever experienced. And again,
hopefully never again.
Listen, in 2021, 22, 23, 24, we'll be able to armchair quarterback this thing all day long and talk about, this is what we should have done.
Yeah.
And so in knowing some of that and knowing that initial knee-jerk reaction was, listen, this is what we know, and we're going to do this based off what we know. Hey, I get that and I understand that. We're a lot more educated now. I mean, we have a vaccine that's getting ready to hit and everything else. We're more educated than we've probably ever been at this point. Probably more educated on anything we've ever been in 9 months of a rollout of something major like this. And then to be able to have that understanding and modify it at the level that we can ensure that businesses are still able to survive. They're still able to stay open. They're still able to run their businesses. It may look different, I think, for a lot of folks. I mean, one of the things I tell people all the time is we learned in our business under COVID, if there's one thing that's a good positive that came out of 2020 for us, we learned that we had a lot of fat. We had a lot of stuff that we thought we needed that we really didn't. We were running things a certain way, going, this is how it's always been, and this is how it has to be going forward. And I think a lot of businesses, when we talk about that word pivot, we're able to sit there and look at their business really, truly all the way down to the last little expenditure and go, I could probably do without this. Probably don't need these anymore. Yeah. We can probably eliminate this out of our mix, and then restructure on the outside what that looks like. And so really what I think is going to happen in the long run, you're going to have smarter business owners that are out there. You're going to have people like
the ones that can make it.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, so if you go to 2021, you're going to run your business in a way that you're sitting there going, okay, if something happens in 2021, I know what I can do if I'm forced to do this again. Now that I got a little bit of experience that I didn't necessarily want, then I know what I'm going to be able to do to be able to quickly react so that I still keep my members on the hook, so that I'm not letting them out there going, listen, I don't know what they're going to tell us to do or what we're going to have to do, but we'll let you guys know something as soon as we know something. And unfortunately, that's kind of what it became for a lot of, not just gym owners, a lot of small businesses in general, where it was just like, we'll let you know when we know.
Well, and I mean, a big part of it is what they were selling was fear, and from not just from the virus, but I'm talking about the way it was kind of like, we were nervous to do anything because
right.
Like, well, I don't want somebody. I mean, even now I hear there's patrol things, looking around. Luckily, there's like a deputy that regularly drives through our thing and kind of says hi, how you doing, but
I don't think any of our law enforcement officials are out trying to lay the wood to somebody. I mean, they're out there more so probably to educate than anything else. I think the other part of that, though, is, the individuals who their comfort level's not good with it. So if their comfort level's not good with it, then I got to figure out a way to make you uncomfortable in that situation. So, and a good, and I hope this lady's listening if she's out there. She won't know who I am, or she won't know who my wife is. But during the shutdown, my wife and her friend were running in the school parking lot. School shut down at this point. There ain't nobody there. They go up to the school parking lot, and they're just kind of jogging around in there, and they're working out in the parking lot. They don't have a mask on. They're both 6 feet apart from each other, but this lady comes running over the top of the hill with a camera and is like snapping pictures of them and recording them, so that she can tell whatever Karen police she needs to tell, that here's 2 people that are trying to spread it out there amongst themselves. I don't know the thought process of it. What I do know is
I liked your version, though.
I know. That was a good visual, right? Like the Karen police. So, I mean, if our folks that are out there understand that we can look at Bryan College Station and we can say, well, you know what? Bryan College Station is propped up by A&M. That's not an unfactual situation. But most businesses that are running in a town, small businesses, are really the underside foundation for propping up larger businesses that come to town. These larger businesses didn't come to town just all of a sudden. No. They didn't just come to hey, here's a good plot of land and let's just a city will come to us because there's a Walmart here. They're going to look at that from a different perspective. So it makes way more sense for people to understand that those small business owners set the foundation for big businesses to come to town.
Yes.
And that's the same thing for the gyms, the same way. There were people running small gyms before there were big gyms here in town.
Yep.
And it's always been that way. In every industry that you go into, you can typically go back to some small form of that business that laid foundation for big business to come in. So that being said, this is part of the reason for the podcast for us is to get small businesses on here so that they're able to talk about their businesses, the struggles, the things that they're fighting and everything else, because we've got to preserve small businesses. We have to make sure that people understand that it's not over, right? Like just because you may be back to work or just because this place may be open that's your favorite place or whatever doesn't mean that we still don't have people that are in the industry that are still battling daily.
We're not at normal.
Yeah, well, they're still battling daily to make sure that their business opens day in and day out and helps put food on the table for their family, and that they can reinvest back in their business to ensure that it opens the next day and does the same thing. So, when we look to bring you on the show to talk about it, it was more so the idea of bringing you in here so that you got an opportunity to talk about what you do as a coach, how you impact people's lives. There's probably not a whole lot of businesses that can go out there and say, I've had a direct impact on these people, right? And that those people even more so are the walk around calling cards, like we said earlier, of your business. I mean, they're the ones that are in the market telling their friends about where they're working out and why they love their coach so much and why they love Balanced Body Works. And, this is the place to be and this is where we need you at. And you guys, honestly, you're out off of Highway 30.
Yeah.
And if you look at where Highway 30 was 5 years ago,
Oh, yeah.
but now you look at where it's going right now. I mean, it's kind of, I almost refer to Highway 30 kind of as like a South College Station deal. It's growing out that direction. Highway 30 is kind of the same deal. I drive out Highway 30 and there's businesses starting to pop up all over the place out there. And so it's going to be the place that other businesses are going to continue to gravitate to. Being able to get out there and start a business out there is a heck of a lot cheaper than it is in other places in town. So it's a great opportunity for you guys to be positioned in a place where the growing is happening around you. Probably not at a rate you'd love it to be, but at the same point, there's other, residential areas that are continuing to go in out there. It's still continuing to grow out in that part. And so we need those small businesses. We need the Balanced Body Works to be in business here in town so that we can continue to see those small businesses prop up the foundation that helps other businesses come to town. And so, but not come to town to put them out of business. It's we have to support the backbone for what makes the foundation of small business in our community. And so, getting guys on here and giving them an opportunity to talk about their business and talk about what it is that they're passionate about. You're not doing and running your business just because it just puts food on the table. It starts with a passion before it starts with any of the other stuff. And then that passion is what grows that business. But having it stifled from a level that you can't control is frustrating. Yeah. And so we really want people to know that, that there's this push that's gone through about shopping local, right? And shopping local isn't just, hey man, I'm going out to buy clothes or shoes or whatever. Shopping local is also services as well too, and being out there in the market and keeping your money in with these small businesses so that we can continue to see the revenue grow for those guys. And I really just hate seeing the posts about, hey, we've had to make a decision that we can't stay open anymore. It really rips you apart because what
it takes.
Yeah. It's the time that you put in, what you've invested into it, the people that that are looking for you to continue to run, because you're their place. You're their rock of solitude where they can go and get the companionship and the camaraderie that we talked about with getting into these classes and being a part of not just bettering themselves, but also bettering the people that are around them as well too, through that community. So
you mentioned it earlier, but I think it was Jim Ross that you mentioned.
Yeah.
I think that, we got to thank him, but we got to thank you for doing this, or Eminem and you for doing this as well. Because I when I first came here, like I asked you, what are we doing today? My wife set me up with this. I don't know what's going on. So and
thanks, Beverly.
Thank you, babe. But I really do appreciate it. Because I think what your motive is fantastic. You're just trying to get people to see that we're not 100%. We are still working towards that direction. And I love the education side of it because
listen, Jim's out there doing great things. I'd love to have Jim on the show just to talk about some of the things that he's invested his time in. this guy has his hands in everything and is quick to the punch to let business owners know. So this is a part of the small business page recovery, or the small business recovery page that he set up on Facebook. But if you're a small business and you're not plugged into that, you're really missing out, because the information that goes across there is not just small business to small business. It's really people with legislative information that's putting things out there to let you know as a small business, hey, these are things that are coming down, changes that are happening in your community. We're not even talking about nationally. We're talking about in the Bryan College Station area that potentially can affect your business positively, negatively. And look, I'll give you a great example. That's the place where we found out as a business about the grant program through the city. We didn't find out about the grant program from the city. We found out about it through a Facebook page. And again, so before we kind of got on here, we were talking about it would have been great. Again, we're going to armchair quarterback this a little bit.
Yes,
it would have been great to know all of these resources existed when we shut the doors back in March.
Well, I agree with you on that. And the thing for me is, like you mentioned earlier, like the shop local, and I love what you're doing here, and I love what the way Jim Ross set that up as well. But shopping local, I don't mean to give you a hard time, but I also believe that, owning a franchise but living here locally is not exactly, in my opinion, I'm sorry, I don't believe that's the same thing as a local shop. And that's mall and paw shops is, like I mentioned earlier, that's what I think about, is that is a small business.
Your money, your backing. No safety net.
No.
I think that's, if you're really classifying something, I think that's probably a good way to classify it. Say no safety net.
Yeah.
I don't have this foundational franchise underneath me that's propping it up. It's do or die.
It's adding to my 401k.
And so it's the do or die time. And I think a lot of people have learned that in the industry of what it is that we do as small businesses, that nobody's coming to our doorstep to save us, and that we got to do the right things for our business first, for our people. And then secondly, on top of that, our people will take care of all of the people that we need them to take care of out past that. Well, you asked before we came on the show, what do I classify as a small business? And that's a slippery slope when you really kind of start breaking it down, because I told you, well, a small business can be one person running a little shop, even out of their home can be a small business, but the idea is we employ 35 plus people here. And so I'm responsible for those folks. I don't look at it as
or families.
Yeah. And so as owners in the business, we're the last to get paid. We're going to ensure that our folks are taken care of while we're open. We're going to do the right things for them, because if we take care of our people will take care of our customers. And it's the same deal. If you're the one individual that's out there running a small business, it's that same deal. Like, you got to take care of your customers so that your customers are your raving fans. You need those people out in the community raving about what it is that you do as a business, because that's going to get you further than any Facebook page. That's going to get you further than any business card you're going to hand out. The word of mouth. Word of mouth in town is the thing that helps grow small businesses. And so if you're out there and you're spending that money locally, you're keeping that money in those businesses. Listen, in us stepping out and offering this podcast as an opportunity for small businesses to come here, didn't care about whether they did business with us or not. That was irrelevant to us. It was the stewardship from us to be able to get them on here to talk about their business. In doing that and getting folks in here, I've learned, even in the ones that I've scheduled here recently, about businesses that I didn't know existed. So I think that becomes even more important, is the idea that there are a lot of small businesses out there that can probably fill a service or a gap for you somewhere that you may be filling with an Amazon, with a Walmart, with a whatever.
Or even sweat equity.
And being able to use those businesses in your own hometown, that money, every dollar matters to that business owner. And so that's really important, that I think that we kind of wrap things up to that is the small businesses here in the Bryan College Station are always going to be the livelihood for Bryan College Station. And as we continue to see places boarding up and closing up, and it's unfathomable to me that somebody will close their business down, put that up on Facebook, and people are sitting there going, well, man, I didn't know that they were in that bad a shape. And then you can go on to these websites that we're a part of, and you see people just, these guys are begging and pleading. I mean, I can't tell you how many times there's a specific business out there I can think of. I won't name them on the podcast here, but they've been so transparent in their struggles that they've said, hey, listen, man, here's where we're at, and we really need the community's help. What's amazing about the Bryan College Station area is every time somebody reaches back out for help, the community always comes to the calling, Beautiful. And so it's the idea of, listen, if I'm going to live in a town, I'm going to run a small business in a town, I want to do it in that town. I want the town that's going to come to the calling when I need it. I don't want to be able to sit here and go, man, this is my battle and I got to fight it. I want to know that if it really came down to it, that I needed the help, that I could be transparent, I could put it out there, and people would show up to help my business. That says a tremendous amount about our community of where we decided to plant our roots and start our business at. And so,
great point.
I mean, when we're here and we put it in every single day and we put it on the line at our business every single day, the community is the one ultimately for us that gives us our report card on how well we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And they do that with the dollars that they spend. But we have to give them a reason to come, so
if they're not wanting to come back.
Then. And so it's not just, hey, just because I have a nice sign on the outside of the building means you should come and shop with me. It's what experience did I get in there? So, and I told you I'd kind of, I was going to bring back around to this question as we kind of got to it, and I left it to the kind of the last question is, with all the small businesses that we do have in town, we got a lot of gyms. We got everything from corporate gyms down to small gyms. tell people, especially we're getting ready to come into the beginning of the year here, people are going to be making New Year's resolutions. Maybe they're in a gym right now that they're just not happy with where they're at. Maybe it is that large corporate gym that they're just going, man, I wish I had more for my money. I wish that I had a better one-on-one experience with coaches and with people who have similar goals and mindsets that I have, that I can get linked in with and hooked up to reach my goals. Why Balanced Body Works? Why are they coming to your doorstep? What are you giving them?
First, when you're working out, you don't have to wear a mask. No. Well, I mean, that is true. But
Check one right there.
Just everybody just turned off at that point.
Yeah,
like, okay, I'm golden. Once again, like I mentioned earlier, I think it has to do with the coaches, what we can offer, not only our knowledge, but it we are trying to build a family, and we really do. We know that we can lean on our members. Like I mentioned earlier, they were very helpful in the time when we all shut down. So I got to thank them already. And I think the best form of like marketing for us was, like you said, the word of mouth. I mean,
right.
We pick up more members during buddy weeks and,
absolutely.
Stuff like that than we do ever. So, I don't know. I believe that our members are the key, and I think we can keep going with that. I
think there's something to be said about being in a small environment, working out with people. I mean, it's great that there are big gyms, big corporate gyms that are out there that put hundreds of people in the gym every single day, and they can work alongside of people. But there's also that disconnect that's there as well too.
Well, I guess I should have. I mean, like I mentioned earlier to you, that's why we believe the fitness, the education, and the recovery. I want people to learn how to do things right.
Right.
It goes back to the vacation. It's not because I want you to do burpees on vacation. It's just because I want you to feel comfortable enough to know what you're doing, you know? And that's, if I can teach you how to do it the right way, then we don't need to go down this path of doing it the wrong way my whole life, creating bad habits, and then all of a sudden, wonder why my knee gave out, or something. So,
well, and again, if you're challenging people that are going out on vacation and everything else, that's one more stretch that you're not going to get in those big corporate gyms. Yeah. You're going to get the hey buddy, how's your vacation going? Great, can't wait to see 5 burpees later on.
Is your year auto renewal about to come up? And that's about it, right?
Yeah. Did you get that email I sent out to you by the robot that just automatically sends that every month? Yeah. No, I think that when it comes down to those small environments like that, because there is something to be said. It's almost like a diamond in a rough. Most people don't want people sometimes to know their secret, right? Like they're like, oh man, it's kind of nice not being real crowded over here. So says the member.
Yeah, no, and that we've heard that as well. They're like, well, I kind of like the smaller classes. And I was like, well, I know, but we're still not at 10 in this class, so we're either going to cancel this class or
Well, and to that point, you can still always keep 10.
Oh yeah,
but it'd be nice to have 10 classes,
exactly.
as you go.
I have to add an extra
class. Yeah. I mean, that's you want those kind of problems.
Yes.
Still maintaining the small environment, not necessarily, for the guys that are in your classes right now going, man, is Jimmy over there fixing to load this thing up to 20 people in the class? This is going to suck. I mean,
no.
That the idea of, being able to preserve your business, but also being able to grow your business while still keeping that core base of why your folks stay with you. Still being able to ground root in what it is about your business that gets those people to show up every day, to work out all the time, to go tell their friends about you and everything else. You don't want to lose that. In our world here, we refer to that as the culture. You don't want to lose that culture in your business. And that's something that is stretched and pulled on when businesses get bigger, and as you add more in, all of a sudden, man, I'm going to need to add another coach. Well, again, adding one coach into your environment in the culture that you've built, you can always say like, listen, if I'm doing it, I know it's getting done right.
Oh yeah. That trust is I was taught that a long time ago.
Right.
You've got to be able to trust, that they're going to do the right thing.
You bring somebody else into the mix and there's another coach in there because you need them for more classes, or you need, hey, listen, I love running my business, but I don't want to run my business 7 days a week, 18 hours a day. I don't want to do that, So at that same point, you want your business to continue to thrive. You want to keep the culture intact. That is what keeps people coming to you and staying with you, and not going out there and going, yeah, I can do this for cheaper somewhere else. Cheaper is a relative term when we talk about your health.
Yeah.
Just like I can find cheaper supplements, I can find, cheaper protein drinks, I can find cheaper everything in the mix. You can fill in that blank. I can find a cheaper gym. But the problem with that is you're going to get sometimes what you pay for.
Oh, I agree.
And
I
so
agree 100%.
I hear people all the time go, man, why do I want to spend this money here when I can go spend $19.99 a month at Planet Fitness? Well, you can. That's a great opportunity for you to spend $19.99, but what are you getting out of that? And I know, looking at your stuff, you guys offer open gym where people can come and work out. You guys offer classes. You offer the yoga. You offer all these other things, these nutrition, range of mobility, exercising, and massage, all of that stuff wrapped in all up underneath there in one location for people. That's not packed in on top of people over people over people. I want you to be super successful, and I want you to be able to sit here and look back on this and say, hey, listen, man, I remember when we were at year 4. Now look at us here at year 30.
Yeah.
And you being confident in the idea that, my business grew, but it also grew for the right reasons. And we kept the culture of the gym from year 1 to year 30. There's a lot of things even at year 4 I'm sure you do different than at year 1.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And 2020 is definitely going to be one of those things that will change a lot of people's future plans for how they're going to run their business. But what we need from folks here is we need them to get plugged into local small businesses where their money then can come back in the long run to continue to keep the foundation intact. And we don't have to hear these stories about small businesses closing because somebody didn't show up. And I'd love to be able to see less people struggling and reaching back for help because our community understands the value of small businesses in our community. And so as we continue to fight this battle, and it's an uphill battle with what we're doing right now.
It definitely feels that way.
You loss of an A&M game. Ole Miss was supposed to play this last week, and that's $4 million. $4 million that all of a sudden is gone. And so is that $4 million coming to you on a gym membership? Probably not.
No.
But could it come on a day pass? Could it come on somebody running around there going, hey, listen, man, I forgot this and I've got to go do this. Or maybe they just happen to be at one of those coaches that sits there and goes, hey, man, I don't care if you're going to the Ole Miss game or not. You still need to work out while you're there. So shoot me a picture of 5 burpees that you're doing. And they decided to do that in your gym.
I'll be honest with you. A lot of our members, they will get, if we don't see them for a little while, I will shoot them text. If not, Beverly and I. And I actually have a text just from a lady yesterday that she's like, I'm sorry, I haven't been in a week. Just so you know, I was in contact with somebody, yada, yada, yada. So, and because she knows that text is coming.
Right. But that's got to make you feel good.
It does.
I'll guarantee you ain't nobody sitting there at Planet Fitness going, hey, man, we didn't see you last week, right?
No.
It's the idea of also, if I'm going to spend the money, knowing that I matter. And I think if that money matters to you, then I know that if you're texting me when I don't show up, that I matter to you. And so again, that's something in a small business that's really where, when we separate it all out, where you see the separation between large business and small business. Small businesses are going to keep that contact. We have people come in here all the time. We know them by name. We know their family.
Yeah.
We know what they do as a business. I mean, that's the easy part, right? But when we get to learn about who they are, or they walk in and we're carrying on conversations, it doesn't even have anything to do with them, just so we can, hey, I heard your kid had a soccer game this weekend. How'd that go for them? That's the kind of stuff you get in small business that gets lost everywhere else. And the same thing for your gym and everything else is, hey, man, we've missed you. We hadn't seen you in a couple of days. Want to make sure everything was okay, just touching in with you. So I got your money. I mean, it's not a matter of, I need you to come in so I get more money from you. I've got your money. I want to make sure you're good. I want to make sure everything's all right, because I really, truly care about you.
You signed up to get this or that, lose this,
Yeah.
If you're not coming in, I have no way to guarantee or even help with that. And that's, we want you coming in the door.
Yeah, and absolutely. So, man, I'm just glad you came on the show. I'm glad you had an opportunity to come in.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. I mean, I guess we can both thank Beverly for getting you set up.
That's what I was about to say. I should have her on next time. I have a passion for coaching, and I think she does such a much better job on the social media side of it. And so we are very complimentary set, I think, a lot of times. But maybe not when you see us by ourselves. So, no.
Yeah, Beverly definitely did a good job of getting us hooked up here, and I'm appreciative of her reaching back as well too. And again, in the same sense that you sit in the chair and have a passion for what it is that you do in running Balanced Body Works, I have a passion for talking to people about people that are passionate about their businesses. I think that for me means a lot. It's a great blessing and opportunity for me to be able to sit down with you and hear about your business, hear your passion about your business, and be able to talk about your business here with people, again, who, maybe they don't know you exist. They don't ever travel Highway 30 or whatever the case may be. But listen, if you're looking to get hooked up with a great gym, with great couple of coaches here, and you're over there, you're in the area, drop in. You can see Jimmy and Beverly McCue over there. They're at 11400 Highway 30, Suite 202.
Correct.
And I wrote that down correct. I'm glad to hear that.
Good work, yes.
Website. Anything they want to go and kind of look at your website before they go?
Balance B Works, and I would recommend the Mind Body app if you want to have the most up-to-date schedule.
Yeah, and definitely check out your Instagram page. Again, that was kind of that for me. That was kind of where I plugged in real quickly with what you guys do. So, Beverly, if you're out there putting that stuff up on there,
she's good.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. It was a great opportunity to be able to go on there and see your guys working out and different methodologies that you guys are using. I watched some lady. I don't know who she is, and you'll probably know, but you had like two medicine balls like taped together. It almost looked like a big peanut that she was like throwing over her shoulder or something. I'm like, again, something I've never seen before, but let me tell you, that girl was getting it. So whoever you are out there, man, you're an animal. I watched you throw that stuff around in there. So, I'm sure Jimmy's leadership and Beverly's leadership over there, man, I'm sure at one time it was just one medicine ball and it wasn't enough for you. So they taped two of them together to get you going.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm.
So, hey, man,
progression.
However it works, right?
That's
however
right.
You can challenge people and get them to their best. That's the best thing for them. So I'm just appreciative of you spending time with us today and coming and talk about your business, man. We look forward to hearing back from you. Hope that everything works great for you. 2021 is right around the corner. Lots of people out there looking to make their New Year's resolutions. Make sure you get over there and see Jimmy and Beverly over there, and these guys will give you a tour through their business. You'll get to do a personality companionship program process.
See who you like best, right?
That's right, man. Beverly, you probably got a lot of members coming your way there. So we just appreciate you coming in and spending time with us and being able to talk about Balanced Body Works, and we wish you guys the best and good luck here in 2021.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
appreciate
Jimmy.
it.
We appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
You too.